Hello and Happy New Year. My name is Cindy Guion and I'm the founder and CEO of LinkingVentures. And welcome to another episode of the Breakout Room. Seeing as it is the beginning of the year, I wanted to do a little bit of reflection. You see, the Breakout Room first started back with the Gender Data Gap in the Startup Ecosystem Summit, where through one of the panels, we were taking a look at checkbox change versus actionable change. So an example of checkbox change would be, let's put it into the context of the startup community. So we see about 2 to 3% of funding available going to female founders. And yet at the same time, we're watching an all-time high in the number of meetings that investors are having with female founders. And even the number of checks are at an all-time high as well. So if we unpack that, then it likely means that those check sizes are small. There's a few of those that might be significant, but the majority of those check sizes are rather small. So that would be an example of checkbox change versus actionable change, where we are looking at this from an equitable standpoint and taking a look at truly the founder and the companies that go along with it. And this is one of the things we kind of unearthed in our conversations to the Gender Data Gap in the Startup Ecosystem Summit. And then came out the Breakout Room. We wanted to change or take a look at pitches from a different standpoint, in that startups are really at the ground level of change. One of my areas of study is first followership, and first followership specifically in startups. You see, we're, as founders and even that ecosystem that surrounds these startups, we're all early adapters. We're a different type of mentality, of person, of persona. So think about that in terms of affecting change. And that's what the Breakout Room is all about, affecting change from a very different level. Affecting change, you think about it from the corporate level, it has to be monetized quickly. You think about it from the government level, well, let's face it, by the time you climb up those ladders, they might be voted out or it's just not accepted. If you try to stand strong and proud with whatever underrepresented group we might be representing, well, we've seen how horribly that can end. But affecting change from the startup level, where everything is new and we're so used to things being different, it can be done much more subtly. Defining a persona is at such an important component to success of any startup. Can you imagine what power a startup could have in affecting change if everything they did from that design level spoke to social equitability and environment? So environment, that full life cycle of change. Understanding your process of development from and the life cycle from cradle to grave, and taking that and expanding that right out into your full channel and infrastructure system that supports your company. If you think about something like the amount of energy that's used in data warehouses, or something as simple as this stream right now, the amount of energy that's used for something like this could power a small country. So understanding the data partners that you're using, if you're a service industry or if you're a SaaS model or something along those lines, is a very important aspect that you can start to discover at the very earliest stages. And then having those communities that actually support, or that infrastructure that then supports all of these different ways of thinking. We think about product development from defined traction-based personas that are diverse from inception of the idea of the products and through that full life cycle, and matching that with the partners as you grow out. Design and governance. This starts a movement. And that takes me back to my original study, which is startups and first followership. So that really idea that came from a video that I'd seen through my MBA program. My professor had shown me a video by Derek Sievers on first followership, and it was this lone, probably inebriated person dancing in a Woodstock style field with a bunch of people around him, and he looked crazy, right? He was dancing away, but all of us founders are that exact person, dancing crazily on our own. And then a stranger came out and started dancing with this person. All of a sudden, that creates that environment of excitement and fun. Maybe this is interesting. And that's that first follower coming in and validating the excitement of that idea, right? Let's think about that from like Steve Wozniak. He's that lone fool dancing away. And that excited first follower, Steve Jobs, that comes along and validates that idea and takes it to that next level. And then you start seeing that infrastructure build around it as that first follower starts to bring on that core group, right? That C-level core team, perhaps that first investor, and you watch it grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. That's the power of a movement. That's the power of a startup. If you can affect that much change and watch that beautiful growth of a brand new idea, think about what that beginning infrastructure can do as you grow out and affect change. Breaking out of boxes, taking down the walls. It's time that we take a more holistic approach to startup development and how we achieve the development of what's beyond that startup and that startup infrastructure and community. We take a look beyond our own boxes, and we start looking at developing our teams from a standpoint of what we are, perhaps what we don't know, right? Somebody who will challenge our opinions, somebody who represents something that's different than our own, somebody who remains open to new idea. And that's how we develop our teams. And perhaps that's how we actually should be looking at bringing in those early investors, as opposed to begging for somebody, an investor, to find our amazing idea spectacular and to fund it. It's time to, as founders, take a look to and start doing our own due diligence on the investors that we're looking for. And only by doing that will we actually find that beautiful match. You see, that first investor is actually the most important person that you'll bring on to or community or ecosystem that you'll bring on into your company. And they actually say that first investor lasts longer than most co-founder relationships, most North American marriages. So you want to make sure that you have it right. So I do encourage you all to take a look at that Derek Sievers video and think about how that applies to building out your community and your infrastructure with your C-level team, your core team, your first level of seed investors, equity investors, and moving out and so forth and so on, your early adapters. I encourage you to reach out to me at any time with any questions. I wish you all a happy new year, an amazing new year. And good luck to all of your first followers. I like to end a lot of my stories the same way, a lot of my conversations the same way. I lived very close to my house when I was I lived very close to my school when I was in grade school, and one day I was running home from school and I thought I saw my friend up ahead. So top of my lungs, very excitedly, I yelled, "Oh, Hilda, 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 Hilda." And I got close enough to realize that it was not her. So I just kept running around the corner, Hilda, 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 yelling her name. So for anybody that feels like they're a little bit out of their league or a little bit lost, just keep running and waving. Happy New Year.